right, let's try this again here. So, anyways, guys, like I said, if you're seeing this here, this is the first time that I'm really showing it to anybody. I had a little bit in my story there yesterday, but it's a 1973, the C10 1500 four-wheel drive and a short bed. So I've actually never had a four-wheel drive square body, and I've never had a four-wheel drive um or yeah, actually I've never even had any short bed square body square bodies. I don't really know why. I guess they're just in Canada, they were a lot harder to come by. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with this thing yet. When in the pictures it looked like a total disaster, and it kind of is in some ways there, but it kind of needs a little bit of everything. But it's a pretty cool truck. They've got this cool winch that they built in just below the bumper there. The guy actually wanted it back, but he couldn't get it off. So it's on there still. It's got a motor like the size. It actually looks like the motor on this thing looks exactly like an old small block Chevy starter there. Um, you can see it needs a grill. I mean, these trucks always need everything. It's just kind of how they go, or whatever, unless you're buying something that's a showroom truck, basically, or whatever. Needs fenders, needs doors. I actually have a pair of doors for it. So if I wanted to do something with this thing and make it nicer, I could. I really just bought it because it was four-wheel drive and a shorty, and I was like, man, this thing's kind of cool. And so I have no idea what I'm going to do with it there. What's up, Jordan? Which neighbor? Which That's funny. Yeah, the last square body there, I fixed that one up a little bit. That was kind of a super cheap job that I had done to it just to kind of make it kind of something that kids could afford or whatever. So, or somebody just on a super tight budget and then wants to be able to paint a fender later, or paint a door later, or change the bed later and easily paint it again. So did that one pretty super low budget. This one's actually got the potential to be a really nice truck. I paid $1,600 for this thing, which is like you don't really get much for $1,600 anymore these days. So it's a pretty cool truck actually. But so the worst of it probably looks wise is probably the doors there. So I would say, like I said, I could change the doors. Oh, nice. Cool. Yeah. So again, somehow I ended up with another spare body here. I have no idea how. Like I said, I turned down a 73 Barracuda to buy this thing. So it's kind of funny, but it's, so it's got kind of a little bit of rust and stuff on it. But honestly, if you kind of look down at here, like you can kind of see here, the bed is pretty straight. It does have a little bit of rust here, and you can see how long it's sitting because, like, it's got like I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's got moss. It's got moss growing in the freaking in the wheel wells and fenders and all that kind of stuff. So I think it had been sitting a long time. We boosted it, and I barely turned the key and it fired right over. So you can see I'm along the interstate here down in Kansas. So yeah, it's got shiftable four-wheel drive, locking hubs in the front here. There's pretty much four brand new tires on it that have winter studs in them. Um, it's interior is not in the greatest condition. This actually, if I end up doing anything with this truck, I actually bought this truck thinking that I would basically just do a trail rig out of it because it was in the pictures it looked pretty rough, but you can kind of see it's got a little bit of holes just at the edge of the floor here. But the rockers themselves are pretty decent, so it's not that it's really not that bad actually. Like this is something really with probably honestly the worst part of it would be probably taking that freaking bumper off. That's how it always is. So really fenders, doors, which I have, some fenders, inner fenders. Um, really like it's not that bad actually. I always like these trucks in a step side actually, but I think which also reminds me, he gave me all the wheels and tires that were on it before, so there's a whole nother set in the back here. But well, probably what I'll probably end up doing here is I'll probably end up putting a set of tires or getting another set of tires and wheels just to use. I think what I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe you guys can tell me your opinion here, but I'm thinking before I do anything to it body wise, because we're getting into cooler weather now, it's not the best time to be doing body work. Um, I'm thinking maybe just make this into a little bit of a trail rig and not have to care tons about it. Because once I start putting new parts and painting and stuff, then I'm not going to want to end up beating it up or whatever body wise. So that's what I'm kind of thinking. But like even the bumper's pretty good shape. It's missing the back bumper. Um, I would maybe just put a roll pan or something on it. Like I said, then you can see on the interior here. It's the only thing that sucks about it for Oklahoma is there's no factory air conditioning. Now you can add air conditioning to these things. It's easy to put the under dash ones, which is nice. And actually, you can get those electric air conditioning kits from Amazon now. And for vehicles like this that are small cabs, they actually work really well. Now, if you notice over my shoulder, see how the steering wheel looks like half a steering wheel? Well, the guy that owned this thing kind of outsmarted himself there. He put one of those locks on it where it's like the foot to the goes from the brakes basically to the steering wheel. Well, he couldn't find the keys for it. So instead of cutting the actual the lock, he ends up cutting the steering wheel. So it needs a steering wheel. But again, paid $1,600 for it. You gotta think it runs and drives and stops. And honestly, I think just a basic tune-up, this thing could be a pretty good wheeling rig, honestly. I don't want to totally trash it and start beating up the rockers and stuff like that. It looks like it's had a little bit of, you can see there's a couple little whiskey dents in the rockers and stuff here, but it's overall, it's pretty solid actually. Like I said, really, most of these trucks are always going to have a little bit of rust around the fender wells and stuff. You guys ever look at these things too? It's funny. If you ever look at the 73s and 74s, for some reason they seem to rust less. I don't know why. Like usually when something like this starts on a square body, it ends up just like, I mean, in no time at all, it's usually just toast. So unless they stop driving them or something like, I don't know, because they're the oldest versions of them. I have no idea, but yeah, anyway, so it's got the locking hubs. Is these studs are so aggressive. When I drove it onto the trailer, it actually scratched into the trailer. So I guess because they're brand new, I suppose. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this truck yet. Like I said, I'm thinking of just putting some different tires on it. I don't want to. I'm going to save the winters for them. We're up at the top of this huge hill, and in the wintertime, usually get about 2 or 3 days a year that you can't get up to our house because we basically can't leave because it's so steep and there's no way out. So last year we got stranded at the bottom of the hill a couple times. I wasn't home, but something like this, you'd still be able to drive to town and back, which would be pretty pretty good for that. Definitely with those studs on it there, throw some weight in the back or whatever, probably wouldn't even need to, and this thing would chew. So it does have let me see here. It's got a I don't know anything about the transfer cases. Maybe you guys could tell me here. That's what transfer case it has in it, if you guys can see that or not. I do see it dripping a little bit there. Um and I know it has I was looking at it there. Yeah. So it's got a 12 bolt rear in it too, which is I don't know. GM 12 volts kind of get a lot of hate. It's usually not the 12 volt that ever breaks. It's usually what ends up breaking on these things is the actual what do they put a govern lock or whatever they call them in there, the posi, and they're terrible. I actually have had a bunch of trucks with those 12 volts in them. Every single one of them, the posi was broken. They still drive and everything. They just drive with an open rear. So I don't see any tags on them for being posi. That doesn't mean it's not, but it I don't know. I don't even know if they put locking differentials in the front of these things, to be honest. Probably not. Limited slip, I guess. I doubt it. But I mean, like I said, for just for being a $1,600 truck, it's a good starting project. Like when you kind of put it in perspective here, if you want to do the absolute bare minimum to make this thing look decent, you'd put you'd put doors on it, you put fenders on it, you put a grill on it. Really, you could paint it at that point if you really wanted to. I guess it would need just a little bit of floor pan repairs there. It's actually it's just the edges of the floor pans here. It's got a little bit into the rockers here. All this stuff is really easy, honestly. Like, I mean, if you got a little Harbor Freight welder, you can patch all these corners and floor pans and all that kind of stuff in. They sell all these parts on Amazon now. You can get like a you can get a fender. They used to be only like $80 on Amazon. I think they're 130 now, something like that. But let's say so you get it for 130 bucks or whatever. Um, I mean, pretty good deal. The only thing I don't like about the aftermarket fenders, which isn't going to matter in this case because it's so beat up already. It's not it's not like it's fitting good now anyways, but sometimes the fitment of the aftermarket fenders don't fit the greatest, so that's kind of a downfall a little bit. Usually if you get like better sets from like LMC truck or something like that, if you want them to really fit nice, you pay a little bit more money, but you get them. And the other problem is, and I could tell right away I knew because I was watching these guys close the hood. And a lot of people just don't know any better than just trying to get it closed. It ends up bending up this basically the springs need to be lubed up on the hood. I don't know why people don't just do this, but it just basically need to lube up the springs on the hood and then away you go. You got like yourself a hood that actually closes and it'll close without having to bend the hood. So usually what happens is people don't lube the hood and then this is exactly what happens. So it's got a little bend. I've never tried to straighten these bends before, so I'm not sure if that'll actually come out or not, but it's pretty cool truck for 1,600 bucks, clean title, runs really good, smokes a little bit, but I think it's over fueling or something, or maybe it just needs a little bit of carb tuning or whatever. That's what it kind of seemed like. So probably just go through everything. I'll wash it good when I get home today. I'll give it a full once over just to make sure the differential's got oil, change the oil in the engine, give it a kind of a once over, and then probably take this thing out for a cruise and test it out. I'm definitely gonna keep this one for a while. I'm gonna register and everything like that, insure it, and actually be able to drive it because I haven't really done any driving videos in my channels lately, and I think this would be a fun uh, little bit of a back road rig there. So maybe we could do a little bit of trail cruising. My biggest problem is I don't know anybody in the area with four-wheel drive, so if I ever got stuck or something or broke down, I don't know how I'd get out, but figure it out. Usually we used to have side by sides and stuff, but actually like wheeling. There's actually a lot of really nice trails around our area too. So, um, but yeah, so that's what this truck is. So I just figured I'd give you guys the first crack at seeing it here. Like I said, pretty cool. 73, 74 are the only years to get this. It's a 350 truck. Like I said, it does have the high low range transfer case. I don't know. I think it's the MP205 or something if I remember right. But yeah, overall, it needs a little bit of work. It looks like it used to be on propane. I do believe it used to be on propane because when I went underneath there, uh, there's actually looks like propane lines, and that was a common thing back in the day where they would do a dual fuel system because in the 70s when they had the fuel crunch, gas got really expensive and propane was dirt cheap. So everybody started adding propane kits to their vehicle. Actually, as a matter of fact, if you watch my last videos there, that AMC Matador that I have actually used to be run on propane, which is kind of funny. But so yeah, so overall, like I said, this thing's in pretty good shape. What I always look for on these trucks, and I don't know if it would have been a deal breaker on this one. If the so if you look up here, there's the cab mounts. If the cab mounts would have been rusted away, which they were on that first green truck that I had done there, if the cab mounts would have been rusted away, I probably would just basically use this thing and just beat it up and let it be pretty rough in the just whatever, take it down trails, and I'd probably not paint it or do anything with it, but I think I could actually make this a pretty nice truck. So I think I'll probably do something with it because it's actually pretty solid that way, like I said. So the floors are just a little bit there. Let me see if you can see that. Yeah. So the floors are just a little bit at the edges there and the edge of the rocker panel, which even though it's actually not that much, though that's kind of an annoying spot to kind of fix it, but it's really not that bad. Um, so like I said, the cab mounts, the body mounts, all that kind of stuff are still there because once those start going, then you have to replace that whole pan and then figure out how to mount the body mounts, and then you get alignment issues and stuff. And that's what we ended up having. So it's uh it's a lot more solid that way. So once I saw that and I was like, oh well, the cap is actually pretty decent. The bed is savable. So what am I doing here? Like, I mean, why would I totally trash this truck, I guess is what I'm getting at. That's what I was kind of thinking, is just basically turning it into a trail rig that I didn't have to care about. But here we go again. It ends up being too nice for that. So I don't know how soon I'll get to it. My AMC Matador is sold. The guy actually sent me a wire transfer, so I'm gonna deliver that thing halfway to his house. He lives in New York, actually. Ironically, that's a long ways away, but he had a triple black 360 Matador when he was got his driver's license years ago, and his parents used to have a AMC dealership, so that's where it's going to. So I'm gonna meet him halfway, or I'm delivering it to a friend of his place halfway there. So next week I'll deliver that. Um, and then on to some more projects. Hopefully pouring concrete for my shop in the next couple of weeks here, and then I'll actually be able to really start rattling some content out. Because once that shop's built, you guys are gonna see some serious vehicles going in and out of there. So, but this one's like I said, I think this is a pretty good buy. I'm glad it didn't end up getting into the wrong hands or something, because a lot of people will buy these trucks and they'll end up just parting them out. And I try to save every vehicle that I buy, because once these old vehicles are gone, they're gone. You're not going to get them back. And some people are like, well, I got to wreck one to save one. Yeah, that's not really true. All these square bodies, for example, they make aftermarket parts, pretty much everything you could possibly imagine for them. So there's no reason to wreck another one to save one. You can buy pretty much everything for them. As a matter of fact, I do believe somebody's even making cabs for them now. So that's there's no reason to destroy one unless it's already been in an accident or something like that. Then those are the ones that you would maybe take some parts from. But there's a there's a place I found that they're selling just dozens and dozens and dozens. There, it's like an old, I don't know, some guy collected them or it was just whatever. But it's in Montana there, and so I got a contact for that. Um, wouldn't be worth going for one vehicle, but would be worth going if I had like two or three vehicles to pick up and maybe some parts or something like that. So that might be another trip. But it's starting to get pretty cold up there. That's where this one came from. I picked it up in Ronan, Montana. As soon as I picked it up there, the fender fell apart on this trailer and ended up blowing up the side wall of the tire there. So that was a whole ordeal. But gonna get that taken care of. The company that I bought this trailer from, is actually in Arkansas. It's DNR Trailers. I've had some issues with this trailer. Um, I talked to the guy I bought the trailer from, and he talked to the owner, and they're gonna work with me to basically make me happy on this deal here. So I might be buying a different trailer here. Um, but overall, I was kind of like overall these trucks, like, you're gonna get a square body. My opinion here is like why they're so popular and why people like them. I mean, they're super easy to work on. When you look at this truck, almost almost every single part here can be bolted onto this truck. Like, I mean, you just think about it. Think about how many vehicles, for example, hey, a bedside's bad, you can just put a new bedside on it. Hey, the floor's bad, you can put a new floor in it. You know, the bed floor is bad, you can put a new bed floor in it. You need to change the door, you change the door in it. You need to change a fender, you can change a fender. Every single thing except for the actual shell of the cab itself is replaceable on these trucks. So they're super easy. I mean, honestly, if you get these trucks for a 16-year-old kid or whatever, it's easy for them to just work on them. I mean, it's like you only need a little bit of common sense to work on them. I paid $1,600 for this truck, DJ. Sorry, I got so many comments coming through here. It was resonating back at me earlier. Sorry, guys, I dip out for a second there. Um, it's funny. I saw Jordan was saying that he found me posting other stuff on Marketplace and subscribed to my channel there. It's funny. So yeah, it's like I said, it's a 73. Paul, you just joined there. So it's a 73. I just picked it up. I bought it from Ronan, Montana. Um, like I said, I was gonna make a trail rig out of it, but it's almost a little bit too nice. So I'd take it out and do a little bit of wheeling with it. I haven't really done any like driving videos. I'm definitely gonna register and insure it and all that stuff. I'd like to get some different tires because there's no point in wearing off studded tires here until it actually snows or whatever. But maybe I could find a cheap set of marketplace tires or something like that to throw on to just do a little bit of back road wheeling with it or whatever. It's actually, like I said, a lot of nice trails around our area. But I mean, overall, like I said, it's if you got a truck like this and it didn't have the giant dent in the fender, for example, well, or giant dent in the door. Maybe it has a small dent, a small dent in the fender. You're still in the same situation. It just looks worse. It's not really any worse though. You're still going to either have to fix that dent or change the fender or change the door or whatever. So, like I said, overall, don't be scared to don't be scared to get into these kind of projects. Like I said, these square bodies are like one of the easiest things to work on. And if you're not a Chevy guy, I'm sure Ford or whatever is still the same. I think the probably there's a more just my opinion, but I just from what I see out there, I think there's more square body parts available. So if you look on marketplace and stuff, you just see a lot more square body parts available to be able to fix these trucks. Like if you watch that last truck build I did there, everything I got for that truck was from marketplace. So, and if I even if I wouldn't have even if I want to change the fenders and all that kind of stuff, I still probably would have bought those parts from marketplace because there's always people that buy them and then they sell the vehicle they're working on or whatever and get it for like half price or even save a little bit of money or whatever. So um all these I'm just looking at the truck thinking right now, if I needed doors and I needed a bed or I needed whatever, for some reason, I was telling my friend this yesterday, like for some reason, when you search for beds for square bodies, it seems like 90% of them are short beds, which is funny because you wouldn't have think they would have made that many short bed trucks to begin with. But I guess I don't know. There must be I don't know. There's less people are just finding them because they want to sell them for all these people that are cutting them. You guys have a long bed square body? Don't cut it. That's gay. I'm sorry. So, uh, yeah, I guess I don't know. So, like I said, it was a running driving short bed 4-wheel drive square body for $1,600. Not really much to not really much to tell about it, but I'll see. Like I was kind of looking at the wheels here and seeing like how much more tire could you put on a stock height truck like this, and I bet you could probably put. I'm sure you could put 33s and it wouldn't rub. I don't even know what these are. These are probably 29s or 30s that are on right now, but I'm sure you could put 33s on it, and I think it would have clearance still. Definitely lots in the back, but yeah. So I don't know. What do you guys think I should do with this truck? Like I said, it's just something I grabbed. I never even really looked too much at the inside or anything. It looks like the window's got a huge. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. I can show you under the hood since I'm up here, I guess. Let's see if I can get this hood open. Yeah. Oop. So I guess I didn't show you this part. So the winch that they put in here, it's kind of funny. This is a beastly winch. Let me see if I can show you this. So that's the motor. That's the motor for that winch. That's how huge that thing is. And it's a side like it's not a forward rolling one. It rolls sideways. So that means it's gonna have like just dumb amount of towing. I bet you that's probably a 20,000 pound winch or better. Um, so here they've got like it's like an old school winch, and cut a hole. They cut a hole in here and put the winch thing, I guess, so they could run it from the driver's seat or whatever. Not sure why they did it through the fender like that, but whatever. I guess they figured nobody would ever probably save this truck. So, like I said, it's a 350. Needs a battery. Battery was stone dead there, but so like I said, it's in like not that bad a shape actually. Oops, it's loud on this side of the truck. So this side got pretty wrinkled up here. They kind of. I'm assuming they were using this for a wheeling truck. That's why it's got the winch and all that stuff already built into it. You gotta see it's got some pretty good dings and dents in it there or whatever, but which is like all when I'm looking at all this rust, it looks like it's been hit for a long time already. So that means like years ago they were already beating this truck up, and they probably again, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, these trucks were probably, I mean, they were, I know because I used to buy them, you know, they were kind of worthless. So most of the stuff, like it's solid, it just needs a little bit of tweaking. And same thing down this side of the truck here. It's like if you look at it, doesn't even really have all the little normal typical truck dents. I talked about that in my other spare body video. Like when you go down the edge here, usually for people throwing stuff in there, keeps getting dinged here. It's like ding, 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 and so it's hard to fix that. It's really you just need to Bondo it. Honestly, I don't know what else you would really do for that, short of changing the bed sides. But the tailgate is pretty much toast on this one. They're always super beat up in the tailgate. This one's probably the worst I've had in a while. Um, but I don't know. Pretty cool truck though. So I think some wheels and tires on it probably to start and give it a good tune up and going through and maybe take it out and do what they were already doing with it. What I don't want to do is start hitting rocks or something where you're going to end up bending up these rockers or even the bed for that matter because the bed's actually like really straight yet. And I think I would probably just reuse it. I I would probably actually go to the trouble of actually welding new metal into it because it's pretty minor. I mean, honestly, this would be an easy one to fill with Bondo, but I'd almost want this thing to last. So I think I'd probably do that. I'm just realizing there's a key on the gas tank here, so hopefully he gave me the key for that. Um, yeah. But anyways, guys, well, I guess you're gonna be seeing this thing on my channel. It won't be tomorrow. I've got a video coming up for that loader I had there. I had to change the alternator in it. I was pretty busy, so I didn't have a ton of content coming up. But the following week there I will. And probably as soon as I get back here, I will be trying to finish up the base for pad for my concrete there and then get a hold of the concrete guys. And those guys will hopefully come in and get me a shop so I can really start making some better content and more of it for YouTube here. So been on a pretty good run here on my last few. So what do you guys think of this truck here? So overall, I was pretty happy with the price and the guy gave me a fair deal on it, and he's excited to see it on the channel there. So gonna have to do something with it now. But I think that's probably long term. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna put fenders and doors on it and paint it. And the biggest downfall here, that's why I think I had mentioned this in my other video. But once you start getting into painting the truck, you don't want the interior to be like mismatched color. And so I actually think this might be the first truck I might have to actually paint the interior on. I have no idea how I'll do that. It's the roof on it's got like a just a little bit of surface rust. What I might have to do is just get like automotive grade paint that's just like rattle can or something like that. I'm not really sure. I have no idea. I just was thinking about that. I'm like, definitely not gonna leave this truck this color. I don't this isn't really not really a color I like too much to be honest. So and the doors that I have are white inside. Well, they're white doors anyways, but so if I change it, then I'm going to have that particular issue to deal with. So at that point, then I might as well just I mean the seat's junk anyways, so I might as well just pull it out. And I don't have to do that right away, but when I start building it, I think that's what I'll probably do. But all this stuff is good on this truck, like all the chrome, like if you just kind of just rub it there a little bit, like it's all in really nice shape. The only thing I saw that was kind of beat up was this. But like I said, it's too bad that hood is dented because this is the first one that I've had, and as long as I can remember where the front of the hood isn't rusted through, because usually a bunch of dirt and stuff I guess gets in there and people don't wash it out and then they end up rusting through. So I don't know. I guess like I said, I just kind of bought it on a whim, I suppose, or whatever. I was looking for some project or whatever. I picked this thing up in Montana and it's coming back to Oklahoma with me. So I think I'm gonna get on the road, guys. I got a lot of miles to make yet. I'm just over in northwest Kansas, close to Denver here. Um, gotta get home yet and get this thing washed and unloaded and got a bunch of other stuff on the go this week. So thanks for watching, guys. You guys got anything? Hit me up in the comments or whatever. You're gonna see it probably next week. You'll probably see this truck coming with a little bit of content or whatever, and follow along and help me with the channel. If you guys comment, you guys subscribe, you guys whatever to my videos there, it definitely all helps. So thanks for watching, guys, and catch you guys next time.